Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to the farm. Just sync things up. I was a little bit late, so actually there's a little bit more time, which is fine because folks kind of wanted it to be shifted a little earlier. So I'm like, say, 2.5-ish hours off instead of 2, like we should be. But I was just trying to clean up a few other things in the world, and it took me about 30 minutes to do that beyond where I thought I could pop on here. So I'm looking for my tanker. There it is. Because the milk is now full. Again, best laid plans. I kept looking at it for probably 4 days, and I gotta move some milk. Well, now the milk is totally full, so I gotta move some milk. Good news is that's like all I gotta do is tanker stuff, so I'm gonna move a thing of slurry first, and then I'll move some milk. So we'll get slurry over to the BGA so that at least we have a little bit going on there, because I'm pretty sure even that's run out. So yeah, slurry is empty. Basically yesterday I ran out of it, so yeah, I had a loss for the day because I was getting no biogas income at all. But that 11,000 or whatever is, I think, slurry production only. I didn't have any silage in there for quite some time. So as you can see, I might still be able to get 15,000 or so out of just having slurry in there, which would be excellent. But we have 500,000 liters of milk, so I am going to go ahead and sell probably most of that or all of that. We'll see how this all moves along. And the nice thing is that's with the milk extension, so once again that has helped, because otherwise I'd be banging against that wall way too often as well. So I did also step out on the field before I hopped in and started recording here, and realized if I want, tomorrow I will have the ability to harvest grass again, but that puts me in a good spot because I'll be fully ready before the winter. So there is no plan to do that over the winter, but if it was necessary, I could do so at any point, and then obviously it'll regrow in the spring and summer, and I should be fine. But I'm in pretty good shape. I do need to check the cow barn. I'll do that once I get back, just to make sure I'm not running low on other items, because I did see the food is up to the 176,500, and I hate to start falling in the wrong direction again. So I'm going to want to be careful with that. So, unfortunately, again, it's a dark day here, but it's always the early morning work, as I said, is kind of the challenge with just how I happen to be able to do things in most cases. And so once again, I've got on my agenda for YouTube prep to work on my VIP series today, and so I know once I get into that, suddenly time may get away from me again, and so I would prefer not to have that issue. So let's see, my only hesitation with selling like all the milk is I think, again, I've determined the dairy is kind of using some of that, and then the dairy might stop. So yeah, hay is low, but nothing's going to run out before I get the milk done. So I'm going to do that, and then at the end I will go ahead and fill the cow barn up, or add things to it. Alright, so trying to figure out where to take things. Wow, look, my dairy's the best, but so yeah, Bubba Gump Farmers Market is where I've been going. Again, it's pretty close. The others are in the far corner. I mean, there's just really not a reasonable option. You know, I think I'd need like $20 or $30 a liter difference for it to entice me, and even then I don't know that it will, because once again, the goal of this series is not be rolling in money. You know, $2.5 million and counting. You know, I'm moving in the right direction. I'm making profit, and even if it's slow profit, there's really nothing left that's expensive to do, so I'm not going to have any giant cash outlays, and even if I do, they're not going to be, you know, I've got a bit of a cushion. You know, I'm at most, if I decided I wanted more land, which would really be the only thing, you know, I can't see that I'd be buying anything that's more than $1 million, and I'm still going to have a $1.5 million cushion at that point. So, but what I think I will do, I don't want to drive blind when I'm looking at things, because I tend to run off the road, and with a truck and stuff, that would just be a horrendous wreck. I mean, I'll have a bad enough time if I get hit by lag, but I'm thinking I want to take a peek at like where the dairy says it's at, because I think the dairy was at like 200 some thousand liters of milk at one point. And so what I'll do is then, like, when I start getting below that, I'm going to have to see, like, is the dairy amount dropping? And if it's not, then I may just go ahead and push a little bit more and sell more of these, because obviously this is my main income at this point. I make a little bit off the crops, but it's not tons and tons of money. I mean, I think I'm actually making more off my milk when I do sell. Whoa, goodness, I'm not even going that fast. That's what I was trying to avoid, was the sliding. It's driving as if I'm on snow. I mean, I'm really barely turning the wheel. I didn't have my foot on the gas. I don't understand. So this is exactly why, as I was saying, I don't want to suddenly go to the screens to look, leave the thing on cruise, going down the street, because you can see how challenging it is just in a non-challenging location to get out of a situation with a truck. Imagine falling off the bridge or something. This thing does not have any extra horsepower, even though it's pretty, I think the highest horsepower truck I could get. Well, and it might have, I think I traded speed a little bit for some power, but still. Alright, so if I look at the dairy, this is what I was talking about. I have 337,000, so the question becomes, if I get below that, you know, so let's say I pull this down to 300,000, so, you know, when I take 3 more loads here, is that going to start to fall? Because if it doesn't, you know, then I'm not as tied as I thought. I still think there is some kind of tie, because I haven't run any more milk over to that dairy. So I do think it's pulling some of it. It's just, obviously I have 450,000 liters, and the dairy's not showing that it's full. So I don't know if the dairy just takes a fraction of it, or how that operates. So it might be like there's a tiny little pipe between that silo and the dairy, and it just trickles in over time. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm kidding to some degree. I'm trying to remember, because I always think there's gas there, but there is gas up here by my farm. It's just I'm getting a little bit low. So I think while I'm thinking of it, because otherwise this, again, is what happens, is I get going, and then it invariably takes me longer than I expect, and then I'm rushing to get off the server, and I've got kind of maintenance stuff left that I don't attend to, and then I'm in a bit of a panic and frustrated when I get on next time, because darn, I gotta go spend time and go get gas. So It's just off here to the left a little bit as I come up onto the crossroads. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that taken care of, and then we should be good with the truck for quite some time to tool around and move things as we need, whether it's crop or cow barn material or whatever. Because, yeah, we'll need it for the crampy later and so forth, and whoops, shoot. That's not what I wanted. I want to refuel my truck. Great. Now what do I do? I don't have anywhere to put that fuel. I don't want fuel in my tanker. Ah. Didn't realize if I had that selected. I'm like, why is it filling so slowly and what is happening? What do I do? What do I do? I don't know what I can do. Because I'm thinking if I go try to put milk in it now, it's going to tell me no. I mean, maybe with 105 liters, it'll just be like, fine, we'll get rid of it, because it's a little forgiving that way. Like, just like if you hit a little bit of grass while you're picking up hay, it just converts that grass to hay. I just don't know if that happens here, and if it doesn't, I mean, I guess what I can try to do is see if I can pull up next to a tractor. So let me do that. That's probably the cleaner way to do it. Like, say, pull up next to my harvester that I'm going to need in a bit, and hopefully a couple months at most, and of course it's probably easier to pull up next to the truck, but because with the header it's further away than I would like, but anyway. But if I can just transfer the 105 liters from the tanker, that'll work. So I think it took it. Of course, it might be full. Yeah, it took four liters. Awesome. Because it was already full. Where's my track? Come on, there's tractors. There they are. It's dark. The red ones kind of blend into the world. Oh my goodness. This is exactly what I'm talking about. About just stuff happens and you start burning time, and it's like, what is happening here? I don't think it's doing anything, but I don't know if I'm close enough. So let me get a little closer here. Oh boy, come on, it worked for the harvester, but it won't work for, I mean, I'm right there for the tractor. Like, this makes no sense. Yeah, it's not taking it, obviously. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm running on top of my equipment because I'm just like trying to be able to maneuver around this and then hopefully get a refill. Let me back off because I know it's loud. Come on. Oh, so frustrating. I mean, it should allow me to do this somewhere. But yeah, it's not, clearly not doing so. Let me go grab my other tractor. Alright, he needs some fuel too. Because, yeah, the only thing I can think of is, like, I don't know, the rear ends or something, but Because I'm assuming the refuel points are bigger on a harvester than they are on a tractor, but either way, like, this should not be that difficult. But I'm just wondering if somehow maybe the tractors aren't set to just be able to fill from a tanker. Like, we'd almost need like a pump and hose thing. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything happening. This just totally screws me up because I've got nothing I can do with this. I mean, I can wait until the harvester does its thing. Because, like, once I harvest, I mean, I'll certainly need fuel. But it's just frustrating. Alright, well, I'll see if I can grab milk. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to. Because, yeah, I think I finished the harvest and then ran over to that, and oh, it let me do it. Alright, cool. So we lost some fuel that we paid for, but that's okay. And just forget about the fact, again, this isn't a realism series. Forget about the fact that we've got 100 liters of gas in with our milk now. Just, it'll fuel people up when they drink it. I don't know. There's just not a good thing about it. Obviously, I didn't intend to do that, and if I had any other options, you've certainly seen it's not as if I didn't try to solve the problem. And I'm not gonna, like, buy a tank that, once again, I don't need because I have a fuel station right here, but again, I don't have my yard, so the tank wouldn't be where I would put it anyway. So there's just a lot of reasons that I'm not gonna do that, and it's not as if I intentionally did that. Oh. So what did I do? Waste 5-10 minutes through that exercise? So that's exactly my point of kind of what Farming Simulator does to you. It's like you've got these plans, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. I have 15 minutes. I can get this 10 minutes of work done. And then you suddenly find out, and yes, I'm stretching to try to do something else and not watching my screen, and I'm drifting off. I'm back now. But, you know, it's just the best laid plans, and Farming Simulator grabs them by the throat, suffocates them, and then jumps on the body. It's just what it is. So you somewhat learn to deal with it, but I don't know, maybe I'm a hopeless optimist with this stuff, where I'm like, it just can't possibly go wrong again, and it always does. It's Murphy's Law, right? I've had that as episode titles, I think, but I think it's just Farming Simulator law, because it's honestly not something I run into regularly on, like, other things I do. It's not like when I'm, you know, playing the golf game or whatever, where it's like, hitting 5 balls took longer, like 4 times longer than I thought, because I had to go drive my golf cart around and bring water to my other players, and like, stuff like that doesn't happen in other games, because there just isn't that kind of free-form craziness that can happen like there is here in Farming Simulator. Alright, so now we're back to, I was going to say, because now I don't have my trailer selected, I can't see the point, but I don't know, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm like freaked out, like I don't want to have it selected so that I don't fill it with something I don't want, but I'm not going anywhere but the barn now. So this is exactly what it does. It's like a psychological torture game sometimes. So, oy. Because initially I was trying to look at the optimistic part, like, well, if I can't put milk in and it's gonna, like, stop me from doing it, I can wait, and then maybe the milk will be worth more in 2 or 3 months, and so, you know, I'll get more money out of waiting, which I'm sure I would anyway, but like I started this with, I'm not looking to maximize money here, so I'm really less concerned about that. It's just more I can get the work done, because at this point I'm still in that getting the habit thing. I mean, it's been only 3-4 days since I really started talking about that and focusing on it, and it's not like this morning I was like, oh shoot, I forgot I need to log in. I mean, the habit's kind of coming back very quickly of keep an eye on the server, got to get in. The challenge here again is with the time delay, like I can't check before 7 because the earliest I can sync to is 5 a.m. So with the 2-hour offset, like I can't do that, and typically I'm doing things at 5 in the morning. And so I'm then doing other things, and then that has been what the danger has become, is then I'm doing something else, and I may remember this server, but I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop and then go do that and then come right back, because a lot of times that's incredibly inefficient, and or I just don't want to do it. I'm enjoying, the thing I'm in the middle of, and it's like, why interrupt it? I can do it later. But then something comes up and I don't get to do it later. I forget, or I suddenly have something else that doesn't give me the opportunity to get in. So alright, so now this will get us down to 350,000. Let's check the dairy. Alright, so it's still sitting at 337. Yeah, but like I said, I have not put anything in the dairy from, I think I only move things physically to the dairy twice, if it's even that much. And obviously it was at least once, because I didn't have the milk extension initially, but I'm thinking it may have just been that one time, and then I put the milk extension up quickly after that because someone had tossed that in the comments, and I'm like, I didn't even realize we had this, but that would be great. And then I had the unexpected benefit where suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, the capacity on my dairy went way up. I mean, it didn't like automatically give me any milk because the cows weren't producing that fast that I would have noticed it. So I probably did get a little bit, but it seems to be some sort of trickle of that. But what it might be is it like takes it to a certain point and goes really slow. Otherwise, the question's going to be like, if I empty this and it does empty the dairy, well, I won't empty it. How about that? If that's what's going on, I'll leave more milk in there, because it's not like it does it that quickly that I can't keep up with it, because I think to fill it up may have taken a year or two from when I took milk out last time, and I don't know that I went further than, say, down to 200,000 or something. I don't think I emptied it. I may have. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Because I think somewhere I figured out what the milk production is on an hourly level, and I might not be more than 1,000 liters. So, getting close here. But yeah, if you remember, like the last time I was doing it, that was the one, oh, we'll be at 2,250,000, and then we weren't, and then we weren't, and I kept not moving milk. And then I finally did the one time. So that kind of shows you, like, yes, I've done a crop or two in between that time, because again, I don't remember in the sequence of events what it was, if it was in between the two harvests or just before I harvested anything, or what it was. Well, looks like price is obviously rising a bit, because it was 360,000 flat last load, and now they gave us another $12. Woohoo! So off of what, 50,000, that means what, they gave me an additional 40 cents a liter. But that's not a bad rise, though. I mean, it probably took what, 5 minutes to do the round trip, and so if the price is rising 40 cents a liter every 5 minutes, and like theoretically by the time we get back here, rounding wise, the price would have gone up another $1 a liter, like if we were looking at the graph in the game. But at this point, if I'm doing my math right, I should be at 350. This load should take the barn down to 300,000. And then that will be below, sorry, yawning a bit, below the 337,000 that is in the dairy access. So I should be starting to see some kind of a hit there, because I haven't hit an hourly point. I may not even hit a half-hour point. It's possible the dairy lowers milk, like you'll watch other productions, like say the fermenting silo, like every 30 seconds or a minute it does consume part of the thing. So, but again, if I go from 337 to say like 325, I'm like losing my mind here in the dark. I have determined it is far, far easier to just do things during daytime. I mean, not that I didn't know that a little bit, but it's just as I've been blessed enough the last few days to like be working the grass field, I just know how awful it was otherwise. So let's see. Yeah, it's still 337, 449. I do, now that I see it, remember the exact number. And let me just verify. Yeah, 321. Yeah, see, it is falling. So that does pull it out. But let's see, like when I'm there. Because, yeah, 337, I mean, again, I don't have 300. Like, so it has some. I mean, I'll go ahead and I will move one more trailer, because now this is, once again, one of the farming simulator learning experiences of what does this appear to be doing. So what I want to see is, am I going to drop exactly 50,000 liters? Because the thing that has been confusing to me is, like, why does the dairy never fill up? Like, if they're truly sharing that same reservoir, if I've got 500,000 liters in there, like, why isn't the dairy showing 500,000 liters and operating accordingly? And I don't know the answer to that. So it seems to some degree like they're connected, but they're not. Because initially I was like, well, you know, it had some in there, and until it like consumes whatever that was, there's always going to be like this gap or something. And maybe that's what happens, is maybe because I transferred in twice, like I said, and I think the capacity was around 90,000 liters for the dairy originally. You know, I have like 180,000-ish there, and that's why I'm like 160,000 from the 500,000 or something. That's why that gap is there. So, I don't know, because initially I was like, well, you know, it'll just keep consuming the milk I put in initially, and then it'll just start doing the dairy, and so eventually they'll be even. But it's been years, and that hasn't happened yet. So it's the mysteries of the dairy. And you thought milk was simple, like it just came from cows and we used it, and it was a good thing to put chocolate into, or strawberry, or banana. Yes, there is banana quick, just like there's chocolate and strawberry. I used to enjoy it, but I don't know. I haven't had it in decades, since I was a kid. I'm thinking I wouldn't right now. Again, it wasn't my favorite. It was, you know, like if I had a choice of anything else, that was fine. And I don't know. I mean, maybe my parents bought it the few times they bought it because, like, nobody was buying it in the store, and it was a quarter or something compared to $1 for the other one. Again, I have no idea if it was all that cheap. But going back 40, 50 years in inflation, you know, I'm just extrapolating, because I think you can buy like a container of Nesquik now for at the grocery store for still $5 or $6, so it would seem logical that it would be down. I don't know, $1 might be way too much, but somehow just seemed everything was $1 or less, or very, very inexpensive. Because, I mean, I just remember things, like when I do start remembering costs of things, like I remember being able to buy a real simple, like, cassette recorder thing, like it wasn't a boom box or something. I mean, I had those too. The boom boxes were more, but like a simple cassette player you could get for like $20, that would record and whatever, and then, you could get a pretty nice boom box for like $50. But, so to me, a cassette player, a box of Quick, like, $1 seems reasonable. We'll never really know. I'm sure, maybe I could spend hours on the internet trying to find it, but I don't know that anybody has anything definitive. It would just be probably someone like me saying, yeah, I think it was $1, and they put it on some Wikipedia page, and we don't know any better, and we can't challenge it, so then that becomes the new truth. So, who knows? Alright, so I think we're at 317. We'll double check before we start filling. But, if it goes 1 for 1, if we're at 317, then that means what? It'll be 267 in the dairy with a full load. And if that's the case, then I'll stop, because there's no reason to drag any more over. Like I said, it's going to take some time. So we are at 317, 432. So remember that number. And we'll fill up our 50,000 liters, which should get us over $2.85 million, given that just the milk itself, without any kind of bonus, is 30,000. Now, we have really tanked our bonus, let's be honest, but once again, I just don't know that it's worth it. Yeah, it's literally taking 50,000, so this is it. I will stop after this load, and then I will divert to, well, I'm not going to divert, I'll move on to getting the cow feed a little more topped up. The real question is, am I going to make a run for mineral feed? And I might, because it's probably worthwhile. I think I'm down to like 20,000 of that. It takes forever to use it, but that's why one good load should be good enough. But definitely, do the stuff that I have supplied on the farm, the silage, the hay, and the straw. So that's disappointing, but now, the question will be, will it creep back up as the milk fills again, or will it stay down there? And if it does creep up, like, am I going to have the same? Because, like, right now, it's not quite 1 for 1, but there's only, like, a 30,000 difference. So in theory, at this point, like, if it's, because it's 1 for 1 when it came out, if it stays 1 for 1 when it goes in, like, that difference should be, like, I'm going to do what I said no, I'm not, because look what just happened. I was just about ready to peak off. We're just going to get there, because I don't have the patience for dealing with 30 minutes of trying to get this truck unstuck from being wrapped around a light pole or something. What I want to look at is, what's the difference now? Because I think it was 299,000 before I pulled up, and then in the barn, and then it was 267, so that would be 32,000 liters or so difference between the two. So if it goes the opposite way, then I should be able to get up to 460,000 liters in my dairy. Because it wasn't like that 337, it was full. It looked like the bar had more space. So it should be, it should have capacity there. Alright, so we'll let this go. But see, it's 267 in the dairy. Oh, see, the dairy actually has more right now. So, once again, if it stays 1-for-1, like, I should be able to fill this. You know, and it's one thing if, you know, maybe it was full at 337. I don't know. Because that 267 is a way over. It looks like it would be more than that. Like, it's, because I think it's closer to like 400,000 if I really was going to estimate it. But there we go. Oh yeah, 36,000. I was thinking I was getting 30,000 flat, but I think it was 36,000 flat the one time. So I'm well over. You know, I should at this point, because I have slurry, like, I should just keep going up, even though I have production costs that will decrease things every hour. At this point, the BGA silage or slurry conversion, it's all, well, I guess silage is just fermented grass, so it's not excrement of some animal like slurry is, so they are different. But either way, like, that production I think is enough to cover, say, the water costs and everything else. So, because if I get 13 or 14,000, as we saw, like yesterday, I didn't have any income. My ongoing daily expenses on the farm are like $4,000 or something. You know, and that's somewhat the reality of, like, when you get worried about, oh my goodness, I'm losing some money. Like, I could literally cease doing anything to make money and sit here, and at $4,000, that's a big number. I'd have to, you know, but let's say what, it'd be 250 days to get to $1 million. So, I mean, I'm almost at 3, so somewhere under 750 days, but let's just be conservative, probably 600 is accurate. So I'd have nearly 2 years that I could just let this thing sit here and not have any issues at all and still have money. And then all I'd have to do is, you know, go and move some slurry to the BGA, and I'd immediately start making money again. So it's that irrational fear. Like, at some point you get to the point where you almost can't lose money. Like, it takes such little effort. Because now with everything in there, oh, that's right, I need to disconnect the truck. I was like, oh, I'm done. So this is the problem too. Like, sometimes I just forget that I have more work to do. Yeah, I need the engine running, but alright, so the crampy's sitting over. I think I left it by the BGA from the time before I figured out that I'm not going to fill silage because it uses it too fast. So we'll go get that, knowing that unless, you know, the only reason I'd run it back over, but I don't even know that I would at this point, would be if I have so much silage in the cow barn that I suddenly have no room for it. But it would be more effective to just run it back to the silo if I really needed to empty the trailer, but I also don't really need to empty the trailer, because then the next time I come in I could just dump the silage in the cow barn and there would probably be plenty of capacity for it. Because I would hope I'm not running into a situation where I suppose if I'm filling it blind I wouldn't know. But while I'm here, I am going to just bring a thing of silage over. That way I know I've moved almost 60,000 liters. So we'll take a look at how that's going, by the way. Material, oh, okay. The 231 threw me off. I thought I still had 231,000. I'm like, why is it not processing that? Because there's nothing there to process. You know, but this was kind of where I was seeing it, where I'm like, I did, you know, nearly 1 million liters in here, and I'm down to 650,000. Like, what is going on? And that was because at the time, like, I think I had taken 2 or 3 times I had taken stuff over to the BGA, and with the BGA consuming at, you know, about 2,000 an hour or whatever, you know, that uses a lot of material in a 24-hour basis. I mean, again, this fermenting silo would keep up with it if that's what I wanted to do, but it just ends up being a little bit too much with everything else I've got going on. So I want to get these finished, or finished is the wrong term, but, and again, I didn't look at the mineral feed when I was over there, so when we go dump this, we'll jump out and take a look. If I'm above 20,000, I may just wait, because I still think I'm a couple days away. I suppose we can do a diversion to our field and just take a look. But I was going to say, I think I'm a couple days away from harvest, so if I can harvest in November, the soybeans should be at 506. Now, in my head, I just realized, like, I can't go drive into the soybean field. That's what I was going to do, because I'm so used to just driving through the grass, because grass isn't obviously killed by equipment, but crop at this late stage certainly would be. So I need to be close, but not in the field here, so I'm going to have to run over there. But if it's not at 506, I'm going to have a problem. But I would hope... Holy moly, yeah, this is not good. Can I harvest in December? Soybeans. Oh, I can. Okay. Alright. Well, but that means it'll be December before I can harvest, and that really moves the needle a bit, but crop doesn't work that way. Like, unless I want to chop it up for chaff on the forage state, like, I can't get, and it's not like I can get soybeans, a lower yield of soybeans off in November if I needed to. Because the challenge is, once again, if the weather turns bad in December, I could suddenly run into the situation where I can't harvest it. Yeah, mineral feed's still at 22,000. So I think I'm alright. I'm going to get 2 loads of hay and a load of straw. Because, yeah, I'm not going to do 2 loads of straw because I don't have room for that. Because that'll get me over 160,000, and it's only 147,000 liter capacity, so I'd have to either top it off. It's just too early in the day to worry about all that. I'm kidding, it's not, but there's no real reason that I need to do it. So I'm going to run 1 load of straw, 2 loads of hay, and then that'll be it. I didn't honestly even look at the silage, but I'll be back on here once again, maintaining my habit. So probably in the next time I'm on, maybe I'll move a little bit more of something. Alright, so I spared you the echoey tunnel that is super loud. But, you know, my point was I'll be on just trying to at least set the server sync and so forth. Certainly, but within one of the days, like, you know, maybe I'll miss a day. My goal will not be to do that because I just want to stay on top of things. You know, there's a little bit of curiosity, if I recall, to then watch as the milk gets produced. Like, am I getting the same increase? Is that dairy silo filling up too? Yeah, but I think this was the bigger piece here. Because I'll basically be close to 100,000 in straw with 1 load, but I think this was down to like 20,000 as well, so definitely getting more hay in there, and hopefully I haven't miscalculated and somehow you know what, just to be sure, I'm going to grab the straw first, and that way if somehow I have to have 2,000 liters of hay in the crampy or something, I'm not worried about it. and it doesn't require me to go back, dump it out, and whatever. I mean, I suppose I'd be coming back to get the straw, but it's neither here nor there. That way I just don't have to worry about it. So I'll grab my straw load now, and by doing that, if I have extra hay, like, it's not as if I need the crampy to go get something. And it should be perfectly fine. Like, by the end of the day, whatever I have left, it likely will have consumed enough, because it still does, you know, at the full load, I think it does like 1,300 liters an hour. So even in 10 hours, it would do, you know, 13,000 liters. So I'd have room. If I suddenly have more than that, then obviously I need more time, but 10 hours isn't that far given how early in the day I'm on here right now. So I'll likely be much later than that. Probably won't be 20 hours, but, you know, even if I got back on tonight saying, hey, you know I need to dump the remainder out or something, and I have 2 minutes to pop in and do that, because obviously the truck would be right here, I would probably be able to execute that pretty quickly. But it's just a matter of remembering the details, because once again, I, you know, have the situation where I was not really aware. Right. It reminded me I have a timer running on something else for 2 hours, and I have 12 minutes left on that. So I'm like, did I miss that? That's what I'm starting to do a little bit. I don't know that I'd say in my old age, because I've always had this issue with, like, repetitive things that aren't, like, constant. Like, it's one thing if you have a habit and, you know, every 2 hours for the rest of my life I do this. Like, you can, I think most of us could remember that and develop the habit to do that. But if it's like, I need to check this thing every 2 hours, and I only do that once every 2 months, it's hard to switch into that mode. Alright, so this will be the last load of this, and then, you know, we'll have everything over there before 6 a.m., before the next cycle of feeding and milking and all that. Getting good at remembering to not talk while it suddenly changes the camera, so save you from the eardrum splitting sound, which I'm sure is as irritating to you as it is to me. If I was listening to that video, I would not be happy with it, so I'm not going to subject you to it, certainly. But let's see, I'm pretty sure it'll take it all, but there's always a possibility it won't. But at this point, if you're still around, I thank you. But we'll go to the bloody end here. Because at this point, if we're that far along... Now, I got myself hung up one time doing this. That was more the center, because I needed to hit the trigger, and it was tipped, and it just was a mess. But anyway, I want to pull it out if I can. But I'm pretty sure this will all get in there. But at this point, we'll keep you here so you can see. And there you go. So let me just do one final check. You know what? I'm just going to go get my mineral feed, because I know it's going to happen. This is what I always do, because I really do kind of want to stop. I want to get to start working on my VIP series, because I have a lot there to do and not a lot of time to do it, but I just kind of keep doing that procrastination, and it's then I get myself in trouble. And I guess the question is just a good philosophical debate for folks to think about. You know, comment down below. All of our comments don't have to be Farming Simulator related. They can, you know, whatever comes up in the video. Is it really procrastinating if I, like, don't have time, and it's like, you know, I'm going to be in danger of not finishing something else that I should be finishing, so I'm just delaying it? Because to me, I think procrastinating is like, I'm just too lazy to do it right now. And that's not what's going on. Like, I'm more than happy to come down here and do it. I'm just worried I don't have the time to do it. But as you sit here and laugh about this now, keep in mind it's probably going to take 1.5 minutes for this to fill. So I'll see you in a about that time. All right, $67,000 later, but when I started and left you, it was 553. Now it's 555, and it's been 555 for a while. So it's going to be 556 before we know it. So this is another reason. I mean, it's time. It takes forever to fill these trucks from these locations, but it's not inexpensive. I mean, it's over $1 a liter for mineral feed, but once again, it consumes it super, super slowly. You know, I think it's like $100 an hour, or 100 units an hour. It might not even be that much. It's probably less than that. So yeah, it actually consumes 166.5 liters. You know me, being the data guy, I gotta go give you real numbers instead of speculating when I know I have them. 166.5 liters per hour, which comes out to 3,996 liters in a day. So basically 4,000. So that means we've got what, 15? No. Because that would be, oh no, yeah, that would be almost 60,000. So you've got nearly 15 days of mineral feed in this truck. So that gets us, you know, a little over a year. And, you know, when we top it off, we can do it, you know, we get 147,000 liters like everything else in the barn. So, you know, we're at 40 days or so, 35, 40 days of mineral feed that we can get in there. This is going to be tricky, I think. Well, we'll see. We'll try it. I haven't done any truck sim in a while. It'll help me with my backing up, right? I'll just play that game. We'll assume it will. Not bad. I think I did a good job. As I blow it in the last little bit here. Come on. It's not going to give it to me, is it? I did blow it in the last little bit. Darn it. I was half kidding, but obviously it was not. It was not thinking I was funny at all. There we go. Because I'm like, at some point, it's going to then push me away from the building. There we go, when I open this up. Alright, so let's just take a quick peek, because that's what I was going to do, but... So silage is almost 300, hay is 10, yeah, so... Like straw, I could get another 47, but mineral feed... I'm blowing time right now. So, I'm not going to drag you along on this, obviously. You know, it's going to take me another 2 minutes to get down there. It's going to take me another 2 minutes to get back. So I'm not going to drag you along for that. I'm going to get one more load of mineral feed, but at this point, like, I will be good for a month, which will be great. And then I don't have to think about it. Maybe until... Well, I'd think about it before that, because I'm not going to let it run to the end, but worst case, like, I think I could get to the summer solstice in real life, but maybe not. So, I've certainly babbled on a long time. This has turned into a long episode. I knew it would be. I knew I'd kind of just keep nattering on during the loads and so forth, and just driving up and down the road takes some time. If you're still here, I thank you. I thank you immensely for those who make it to the end of the videos and hang around and consume whatever I put out. Love you guys. Think it's wonderful if I've got people that I'm entertaining enough that they just kind of leave it on and follow along. But I am going to wrap it up and save you 5 minutes of your life at least. So I will see you next time.